Good evening, children. How are you? Today, I'm going to tell you, or narrate to you, my moral story number 7 from my 1000 children's stories, and that each include a moral for you to guess for the next day. Do you remember what was the moral of story 6? Yes, about the couple who were celebrating their wedding anniversary. What do you think the moral was? Excuse me? Exactly. That we should think before we speak. Why? Because the wife thought before she spoke. So when the fairy asked her, "What was your wish?" she knew what to say. She always wanted to travel around the world with her husband. And the fairy gave her what she wanted. When she came, she looked to the husband and asked him, "What's your wish?" He did not think. He just mentioned, "I wish to live 30 more years with my wife," and he didn't think of what were the negative points of his wish. That means everything has some good points and bad points. So he didn't think of the bad results of this wish. All of a sudden, he found himself 30 years older, and his wife also was 30 years older. So the moral, once again, we should think before we speak, so that we don't fall into trouble, or we will not be happy with the results. Now, let's start today's story. And today's story, the title of the story is The Farmer and the Pot. Okay, so once upon a time, there was a farmer who was living in a village in India. He was very active, and he was always working on his farming activities. One day, he was digging, and while he was digging, all of a sudden he found a very huge pot. So he took it out, and he wondered, "What can I use this pot for?" So he put it aside, and then he went to take his break. So he was continuing his work, and then he thought of sitting during the lunch time and keeping the spade inside the pot while he was having his lunch. After he finished his lunch, he looked at the pot, and he was really surprised. "Oh my goodness! I cannot believe what's happening. Hundreds of spades in the pot. This is weird." So he took the pot home and thought that it's really a strange pot. What am I going to do with it? But he had an idea. He took the spades out and thought of trying once again to put something inside and see what happens. So he got a stone and he threw it inside the pot and waited for a little while. Then he looked inside the pot to see what has happened. He didn't find one stone, but he found more than 100 stones inside the pot. "Oh my God, I believe this is a magic pot." So he took it home with him and kept it in a safe place inside the cupboard. And from that day on, he used the pot to get whatever he wanted. If he wanted, for example, some clothes, he would put a piece of cloth. So the pot understands that he wants clothes. In the morning, he'll wake up and he'll find many clothes. If he's hungry, he would throw an orange. He wants to eat fruit, and he wakes up the following day with a lot of fruit inside the pot. Eventually or gradually, he became rich, but he was always using the pot to satisfy his needs. He wasn't greedy. He didn't use it for something evil. His neighbors noticed that he's becoming rich and didn't know how come. He was a farmer like them. So they secretly went over to peep at his house to see what he was doing. And they were looking outside from his window, house window, to see what was happening and to find out what was the farmer doing. They saw the pot, and they saw the farmer put 1 spoon of milk inside the pot. And then, in a little while, he got a glass and put milk, not just 1 spoon. He was drinking a whole cup of milk. So the neighbors realized that this is a magical pot, and that was what made him rich. So they decided on something really evil. They envied him, and they said, we have to steal the pot so that we can become rich as he was. At night, they stole inside the house. They creeped inside the farmer's house, and they stole the pot and took the pot home. His neighbor wanted to find out how come this pot is magical. He looked inside. He didn't find anything, so he thought of putting his hand inside the pot just to make sure that it was empty. As soon as he put his hand inside the pot, what do you think happened? Oh my goodness. Instead of having 1 hand, he had 100 hands. Oh no. And he was really surprised and at the same time sad. How is he going to get back his 1 hand? What is he going to do with the 100 hands that he has now? When he moved in the morning in the streets, the people were really scared of him, and they thought he must be some kind of a demon, and they started pelting him or stoning him because they thought he was some kind of evil demon. And the farmer then knew that the pot was stolen from him, and he must have put his hand inside. So what is the moral of the story?